What is up, ladies and gents, my name is CrowGamer11 and you're watching a video about Irish. Not about Irish people, Irish coffee or Irish pubs, this one is about Sergeant Irish, one familiar face for everyone who ever played Battlefield 4. Honestly, before starting this one I had no idea about this video game character, I knew him only from Battlefield 4. As he's going to be a new character in upcoming Battlefield 2024, I started a little research. Before we start this video, I want all of you, my gaming comrades, to press F down in comment section to pay respect to Michael K. Williams, voice actor of Irish, who passed away earlier this year. Irish appears in Battlefield 4 single-player campaign as a non-playable character and is set to appear in Battlefield 2042 as a playable specialist. His real name is Kimble Graves. He's from the East Flatbush section of Brooklyn, New York. He has a family consisting of a wife and 4 kids. He went to George Westington House High School in downtown Brooklyn. Let's start with a really easy question. Why do they call him Irish? Well, he's called Irish because he's unlucky as can be, because he has an almost crippling fear of heights. As you notice, throughout the campaign he keeps getting into scenarios where he has to confront his fear of heights. Next thing I want to do for you is to connect the story of Irish and the Battlefield 4 and Battlefield 2042. So, Captain Kimble Irish Graves is, as we said in the Battlefield 4, the captain of non-playable destroyer MFS-04 Exodus and former United States Marine Staff Sergeant. During the War of 220, Irish was assigned to Tombstone Squad alongside Clayton Pakowski, Daniel Recker and William Dunn. Sometime after the war, Irish had left the USMC and chose to become an OPAT, eventually becoming the captain of the Exodus. As I have introduced you to the Irish, now let's go to some interesting facts. So, Irish seems to be the most emotionally driven character in Battlefield 4, and this is why. When trapped in the car underwater, he tells Recker not to shoot the windshield, even to the point of yelling. He is the most against leaving anyone behind, be they a member of Tombstone or otherwise, especially against pack and cowards arguments. And now I want to tell you the most interesting, let's say, a theory about Irish, and that he's possibly a recovering alcoholic. In one mission, he is stating that he hasn't drunk for 3 years, so there might be a possibility that that is completely true.
Garrison assigns Hannah to Tombstone for a mission to blow up an airfield in Singapore. However, as Hannah's loyalties were still in question, and the fact that he was kept in the dark about Hannah's new assignment and the plan, Irish openly expressed his distrust in her, saying that he has a problem with liars. After the Valkyrie missiles destroyed the airfield, Hannah betrayed Tombstone and brought the Chinese class to them after crashing a stolen jeep during the escape from the airfield. She subsequently followed the plot to the Kunlun Mountains, where Irish and Recker would be tortured then held in. In the prison break that followed, Hannah, who figured out that it was Demuth Recker and Irish's doing, followed a clean-up squad tasked with eliminating the escapees, and subsequently eliminated the squad while their attention was on Recker and the others, thus saving the trio. Irish attacked her, still enraged by Hannah's betrayal and Pak's apparent death, until she finally explains herself, thanks to Dima intervening. She is a Chinese Secret Service agent tasked with protecting Jin Jie, who had been posing as Hannah's husband to protect him. As they exit the prison and enter the cold, open air, Hannah returned Recker's tactical binoculars to him, to Irish's visible surprise. Later on, Hannah revealed to Irish and Recker her story about her family and village being destroyed by Chang's men. Mortified, Irish apologizes to Hannah for not trusting her. She brushes it off, reminding him of something he'd said in Singapore: trust is earned.
As Tombstone reached Tashkar, they met with Molina and his fellow Marines in a hideout. Irish's stand towards Hannah shows to have softened when he introduces her as good people. After Molina directs them to Old Town, they meet with Major Greenland. They strike a deal with her. If they can destroy the Russian-controlled dam where SAMs were threatening Marine air units, Greenland will provide them with westbound transportation. Seeing the dam and its damaged area, Irish tells them that they will need to gut it from inside by planting the charges at the destroyed section. Hannah asks if Irish has an engineering degree, and reveals that she indeed possesses a medical degree when he says, "I got an engineering degree like you got a medical degree." After Tombstone detonates the charges, they notice there were only 2 explosions. Eventually, the third charge detonates and the structure collapses, dropping all 3 into the ensuing flow. After things come to a standstill, Hannah saves Irish from being trapped in a pile of something we'll never talk about again before finding Recker.
Greenland fulfills her part of the deal, a gunship plane going westwards, the USS Valkyrie, which had earlier unwittingly entered the Suez Canal right in the middle of a full-on battle between the Chinese and American navies. Hannah helps Irish, jokingly telling him to aim any puke on the enemies below. Once Tombstone parachutes onto the Valkyrie, they begin to fight their way inside, eventually reuniting with Pak Garrison and Jinjie. After Jinjie halts all hostilities, Chang orders the USS Valkyrie to be destroyed. Tombstone races for an RHIB to set off for Chang's battleship. On the way, Pak and Irish ask Hannah if she and GA are married or not. She replies with, "I'm married to what he stands for, and that until things change for the better, she will keep fighting." Reaching Chang's warship, Hannah, Recker, and Irish enter its blind spot unhindered by any further enemy movement and had proceeded to plant charges to detonate and destroy the battleship. However, just as Tombstone grapples to safety, Hannah realizes that the charges did not detonate. Both Irish and Hannah volunteer to take Recker's last C4 charge to detonate the failed charges onto the planned destroyer. Recker chooses Hannah, who returns to the ship and detonates the explosive, saving the Valkyrie but likely dying in the process. After the destroyer explodes, Irish commends Hannah for fighting for every *C thing she believed in. Affected by his experiences in 2020, Irish eventually leaves the Marine Corps and has a son named Omar, who is 7 years old by October 2042. After the massive global disasters of the mid-21st century displace over 1.2 billion people, Irish is reminded of his experience with the refugees in Shanghai. Desiring to shelter as many innocent people as he can from war, Irish becomes a NOPAT specialist, eventually becoming captain of the MFS-04 Exodus Arleigh-Burke-class destroyer in its NOPAT task force. Omar would stay with Irish aboard the ship as he traveled the world on his mission.
Antarctica to rescue some of Oz's specialists stranded there. After exchanging warning shots with the Russians at the facility, Irish successfully extracts the specialists who join his task force aboard the Exodus. While on a freeting mission to Freetown Port, Sierra Leone with 200 refugees on board, the Exodus is contacted by Oz, who orders Irish to reroute to the flooded city of London, England. There, Irish enters the city alone to meet a contact with information critical to Oz. The contact is killed by an unknown shooter shortly after Irish locates him. Returning fire, Irish manages to wound the attacker and discovers that is his former Tombstone Squad mate Clayton Pakowski. Recovering the contact's briefcase, Irish brings Pak back to Exodus as a prisoner to receive medical care. Oz then directs Irish to sail to a set of coordinates in the Mediterranean Sea, where 3 MV-38 Condors with Oz's men will pick up the briefcase. Nearing the site on October 20, 2042, Irish visits Pak in the medical bay, where he is still handcuffed to his bed. Pak accuses Irish of being a traitor for taking money from Oz for the job, but Irish states he is only concerned about the refugees aboard the ship, which now includes Pak. Pak warns that intel Oz wants will allow him to start another global war and that Irish can't give it to him, which Irish disregards and promptly leaves the med bay, saying he already knows what he's fighting for.
However, technical specialist Navin Rao has accessed the contents of the briefcase against Irish's wishes, discovering that it contains intel regarding the future crash site of an American satellite weapon that will fall from orbit in 36 hours. Realizing that Pak was right and that Oz plans to hand over the intel to the Russians to force a war with the Americans, Irish decides he won't turn over the intel as the Condors begin approaching the Exodus. To evade them, Irish directs the ship into the heart of a nearby Category 5 tropical storm. The Condors give chase, with Oz having figured out Irish's betrayal. The gunships open fire on the Exodus, and as they enter the storm begin deploying troops onto the deck of the ship. Irish leaves the bridge with the briefcase to help his task force fight off the attackers. Two of the Condors collide with each other because of the storm winds and are destroyed, but the remaining Condor continues to fire on the Exodus. Retrieving a Stinger missile dropped by a fallen specialist, Irish attempts to shoot down the Condor but is chased off the top deck of the ship by gunfire.